Yeah, I mean, right now we're back here in Lisbon. It's almost like the closing of the loop. You know, we were here basically from the middle of 2016 when we're getting everything set up to run the refit here, get the fleet ready for all the new owners, the new sponsors, the new teams that were coming online. We have this facility still here in Lisbon where all the teams have brought their boats back for what we call the decommissioning process. We've got the Boatyard here. We've got all the sheds that were the refit sheds that are now all cleaned out, ready to hand back to the Port of Lisbon. And then we've got all the containers, team bases, and the yachts down the other end of the facility here, all in storage, ready to go again. Right now, this is a 60-metre version of what was the Boatyard tent during the race, which was 80 by 20. In here now we have all the yacht's rigs, which have been fully stripped and disassembled and all the parts put away in all the containers. We have all the fins and bulbs down the other end of the tent there. So, you know, should a team want to come back, you know, we want to reactivate anything like that, we do have the ability to commission a boat almost instantaneously for them if they wanted to start sailing. I think we could have a boat up and sailing in less than a week. No fleet has ever been pushed as hard as what this fleet was in the last race. But you can honestly say with the condition of the boats and the maintenance, the service and the way the teams looked after them, they are more than good enough to go around the world again. Have no problem with that. This is the office container we took around the world with us. Yeah, it's still exactly as it was. During the refit itself, pre-race, we had a workforce that with all the suppliers was probably growing upwards of close to 60. Obviously it was a pretty full-on environment down here. And then right now, we've obviously now come down to the other scale of it, where as we came back here, did all the decommissioning, again, we had the full Boatyard workforce here, which is about 24 people. And then now we've just, you know, as we get through it, it's just tapering down, tapering down, tapering down. And yeah, now this is us. You know, as eager as people are to go home to, you know, families and back to a different, or what do you call normal life, whatever normal may be, you could see that people were still, you know, they didn't want to see it end, you know, and that's, you know, typical of any good team. That's probably the greatest compliment anyone can be paid, that when people actually that have just basically worked their ass off for 2 years don't want to go.
The team is amazing. We were like a family, and Coxie and Nick, they are very good managers and make us feel like we have full support.
That's a goal. That's a goal. I'm going to take it for lunch today. So it's hard to believe right now, but this was once upon a time the biggest hive of activity for the Boatyard pre-race. These are the sheds that we used during the refit. We've got about 100 or 120 metres of shed through here. Whether you be on the team side of the fence or now even with the organisation side of the fence, it's a loop, you know. You get comfortable with that idea that you start something, you give it everything, but you know there's closure, and you know that there is a part of the drive to get you through the race is that light at the end of the tunnel that you know it will end. It has broken people in the past, and it has actually turned people into, you know, better people and evolved, and, you know, they become part of the success story of the race. So right now here are 6 of the boats. You know, the reality of it is that there's, you know, in replacement value, there's 30 million euros worth of asset there in the boats themselves. As much as it pains all of us, and, you know, we're not that happy about it, we have had to shrink wrap them to protect them. I mean, it's not the perfect plan, but it is what's available to us at the current time. And what, you know, the only saving grace is that we know that when we do cut that plastic away, if we were to commission a boat, that we know it's recycled. For teams that are looking to be a race-specific Amoca 60, obviously right now, you know, there are people already thinking and talking in the background. Obviously, you know, you would be starting to consider in the next, you know, say 2 to 6 months, you're approaching designers, you're talking to them, you're thinking about the benefits and all that kind of thing. You're obviously looking to raise money. At the same time, you'd be looking at a count back from, say, what would be a pre-assembly period in 2021, somewhere in August of that year, and start counting back as to how many months of sailing you'd like to do before the start of the race. It's generally between an 8 to 9 month build, then subtract maybe a 5 to 6 month design period. Right now, still a bit of time to get things organised. From my perspective, I've been very fortunate. You know, like the last almost 20 years of my life has been this whole, you know, Volvo cycle of what has been, you know, the last 6 races for me. It's an incredible experience, and I know that I'm very fortunate to have been able to live in this world. And we know that we're moving forward into a new dimension again with, new owners that are just as passionate about the race as Volvo is, and you'd like to think that it can only keep going forward, and for the betterment of sailing, the next generations, the development of the sport, all those kind of things. I think hopefully sailing's in a very good place right now, especially offshore sailing.